We have a ton of issues.
Well, I have a ton of books at home. These are the ones I just decided to grab, just because I'm going to reference them a little bit.
Okay.
So by show of hands, who thinks they eat pretty good?
I used to.
Well, pretty good. I would say if you eat pretty good. Right?
Healthy or pretty good?
I would say if you consume food, you eat pretty good.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people don't eat.
It's not good enough though.
Well, I
right?
think I eat healthy, but I know I can improve. I know I can.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. How many of you would like to improve? Right?
Yeah, I want somebody to make it for me.
So my intention is for you to take away a few things that you can do simply right away to make some different changes. So you've got good, better, and best. I try and tend to strive for the best, but better is always better and good's good, right? You can't be a psychopath about it.
That's a good place because everybody can feel like they can.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really about making better choices, right? So, so my intention is just to give you some takeaways that you can help improve your own diet. So, okay, so first of all, why would you want to listen to me?
Because you're amazing. Because you're knowledgeable.
Well,
And you work with the best chef ever. Do you practice what you preach?
Oh, yeah. I would say for the most part, yeah.
To be really honest, I just trust you. I have no idea what you're.
Well, in general,
I've seen you work, and I know you're conscientious, and I know you're going to do the best stuff that you got. You're like, trying to figure it all out.
Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate
that. You don't have to have a degree to do it.
Right?
No, you don't.
No, you don't, and I don't. So first of all, I'm going to say I'm not a doctor. Don't take this as any medical advice, right? I don't want to get in trouble by the powers that be by claiming some of this, and I'll get into some of that in these books that I'll share. But typically, people are going to listen to others that have been where they've been, have what you want, and can show you how to get there. They have the knowledge, the tools, and the resources to kind of hold your hand and take you along that way. So when learning anything new, you have to be teachable. And I would encourage people to find a coach and learn as much as you can from them. I've had many, many, many coaches over the years, and some of them I kind of fought tooth and nail, but some of them I did every single thing that they said, and it made all the difference. Sometimes when we're making changes, not only with our diet, but other parts of our lives, whether we're goal setting or that kind of thing, we have to give up other people, places, things, events, stuff that we love, in order for you to get success. So you need to surround yourself with successful people in order to be successful.
We have resources. We have volume.
Right. Right. So
times you want to find, you've got to do the education.
Exactly. So yeah, in order for you to create new goals in your life, you surround yourself with those people that can hold your hand, been where you've been, have what you want, and show you how to get there. So so you need to kind of know, I mean, I kind of already asked this of why you showed up, but you need to know your why you would ever want to change, and the how will show up. If your why is big enough, the how doesn't matter, right? But ultimately, you can go through the process of why would I not want to eat the donut and instead have the apple? Why, ultimately keep asking the why and dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And ultimately you want to get to a feeling and emotion, right? Because emotion drives us, right? Those are usually the driving force. I'll get into a little bit about my story and why I've changed a lot of stuff in just a few minutes, but there's also 4 levels of learning when you're doing anything new. So this is going to be this one right here. Does anybody know what that stands for? UICICC and UC? Well, the first one is unconscious incompetence. And basically that's, you don't know what you don't know. You have no idea that you need to change. Why would you? Why would you even be conscious of? Well, I mean, let's use an analogy of either tying your shoe or driving a car. Okay. When you were 2 years old, you didn't need to know you needed to do either one of those. So you were unconscious and incompetent about both of those, right? Eventually, let's just use tying your shoe for an example. Eventually, you noticed your parents tying your shoe, which takes you to the next level, which is conscious incompetence. You're conscious that it's happening, but you don't know how to do it yet. Okay. You see the shoe, you see your parents tying your shoe, you know that it's happening, and right? There was a little rhyme that went along with that. Can't remember what it was.
Bunny ears.
The bunny ears and yeah, right? Rabbit chase the thing around the thing. Anyway, whatever it was. So the second level is, you know that there's something needs to happen, but you need more information. Okay. The second one is conscious competence, which means, okay, now you're learning to tie your shoe, but you have to really think about how to do it. And that's where that little nursery rhyme comes into play. So with doing anything like driving your car, right? When you were young, you didn't know that you were going to have to drive a car eventually. But then when you got older, it was like, oh, I'm going to drive a car one day. I just don't know how yet. When you started driving your car, third level, you really had to think about it, right? Right? Get in the car, put the key in, turn the ignition, put the brake on, put it into gear, check all your mirrors, right? When you're tying your shoe, you're like, okay, right over left. This is, I have. I have. But I've also been learning a lot along the way. So this is where you know how to do it, but you have to think about it consciously. And then the last level is unconscious incompetence. When was the last time you thought about tying your shoe?
Did you say incompetence or
Unconscious competence.
I don't tie my shoes.
When was the last time you thought about having to get in your car and turn it on?
Today?
Did you have to think about it?
Yeah. It's just automatic. Is what she's
Right.
trying to say.
It becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. I mean, half the time
It's
when I'm
not like
driving,
you're sitting there saying, okay, what's step one? What did my mom say? Okay, what's step two? What
Right.
did my dad say about that? Because he told me I had
Right.
to do this differently. So it's unconscious competence.
right, it comes naturally. You do it. There's no second thought. You don't have to guess. I mean, sure, you're driving in traffic. You have to be conscious about what's going on around with you and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're free flowing and driving down the freeway, how many of us are in a different time and space when you're driving and you didn't even remember to drive home? Right? That's unconscious competence. It just comes naturally. You don't even have to think about it. So those are the 4 stages of learning. And with trying anything new and changing, even just with the diet and the nutritional plan, I mean, some people don't even know that they're eating unhealthy and they don't care to know. So that's the unconscious incompetence. They think, I eat, I'm fine.
Oh, it's just fun.
Right. And then they start to learn, oh, wow, maybe I shouldn't be eating fast food or, whatever it is. And, I heard this thing about, like the chemicals in our water. Oh, I heard the thing about, wow, we have chemicals in our water. What is that all about? Right. So, oh, God, and then it's like, oh, well, what can I do to avoid those things? And then I'll just kind of leave it at this. I didn't realize how crappy I felt until I actually started feeling better. And then it was like, wow, how long did I feel this bad and didn't even realize it? Right. And I would think that most people are kind of there unless they've been through a lot of the healing. So ultimately, to get what you want, to make new goals, to get from A to Z, whatever it is, you have to do the right things long enough, consistently, to get the results that you want. So many people start a diet and after 30 days, they're like, right? Oh, I tried that one product. It didn't do anything for me that first week. I didn't notice results right away. So it didn't work, right?
You don't have to typically notice. That's what men say.
Oh, you'd be
But
surprised.
I don't know about women, but I.
No,
it's
but
been
yeah,
on more
you're right.
men.
Men are a little bit more resistant to
If it would
change.
work after 2 days, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, right. So what started me on this journey is I'm an outdoor athlete. I love to go do all the fun things. So this right here, this is me at 10 years old at the sand dunes. Okay. That's me tomorrow. I'm actually going out and riding the dunes tomorrow. I still love it. I still do it. I learned how not to wreck because I wrecked a lot, right? Unconscious and confidence, conscious and confidence. I played softball. I went skiing. I'll huck myself off of anything high if I see somebody do it first. Okay. So, but with that came a lot of bumps, bruises, sprains, and strains, and more times in the emergency room than I'd like to admit.
Oh, ouch.
That's all you.
Yep. Well, except for this girl in the middle. So, I got hit in the face with a softball and had to have reconstructive surgery on my face. I've got a plate in my cheek. However, that picture up in the middle on the top was about 3 weeks after I got hit before I had surgery. Because I had tools in my toolbox to help me heal before I had to have my surgery. I walked in to have surgery. They didn't even recognize me. They didn't think I was the same person. I was like, okay, perfect. Do I still need surgery? They're like, yeah. It really did some damage. Wrecked my four-wheeler, had to have plates and screws, hated it every second of it. It was one of the worst things I think I've ever been through. After it was all said and done, I'm like, take that stuff out. If you can take that stuff out, they're like, you're gonna have to wait at least a year. 1 year, I'm like, I want this stuff out. Healing from the everything, them taking it all out was worse than actually having it all put in. The reason I'm telling you that is because, yes, the doctors were able to put Humpty Dumpty back together again, but I didn't want to rely on them with for lifetime to stay out of pain and get me back out to playing, right? So through that time, I learned alternative ways to not rely on drugs and surgery inevitably for the rest of my life, right? In 2016, I ended up with 4 herniated discs and sciatica so bad I couldn't even walk. I'd already been through the drugs and surgery part.
You told me
I
this.
knew that my body had the ability to heal itself. So I prayed. I'm like, please help me figure out a way to get through this. I hated being in my body. I was so unhappy and I hated everybody and the whole world and everything that came with it. So this girl in the middle actually was referred to me 3 times by 3 different people. So I took the plunge and hired her as my coach. She had also broke her back, been where I'd been, had what I want. She held my hand and showed me all the ways to heal myself. So this bottom picture here is a 4 month span from December to April. But if you'll notice in December, I was not happy. I had a frown on my face. I was slumped over, all the things. But coaching with her and doing everything, single things that she told me to do,
Good girl.
I'm smiling. My posture's a lot better. And I was almost 50, I was about 50% out of pain at that point because I could see the progress. So, like I said, a lot of people will do something for 2 weeks, a month, whatever, and not see any results and will give up. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any results for about the first 2 months, but I had faith that it was going to happen. Okay. So, having the resources and education, my brother and I actually owned a wellness center started our own wellness center in 2007. And a lot of stuff that Gwen and her mom have in this center was a lot of stuff that we had available too. So when we met and kind of compared notes, I was like, oh, you guys are doing the right thing. I love it. So a lot of the gizmos, gadgets, devices, supplements, all the things came through our doors. I kept what worked and got rid of the rest. Okay. So when I got hit in the face with the softball, I had a lot of those resources already and was utilizing them at that time. In 2012, actually, I'll go back. So one of those products was the Live products, the green drinks. Some of you guys know about that. That was something that actually helped reduce the inflammation and helps cleanse and detox a lot of that stuff that was happening at that time. In 2012, I had actually gone to a Live seminar, and they had a chiropractor come and speak, and he was a member of what's called the Global Information Network. And it was all about information. So, and that's where this book came from. Okay. So I don't know if anybody knows this guy or heard of this book. Okay. So Kevin Trudeau,
A lot of information.
he was considered the infomercial king. A lot of like mega memory, phonics, different things like that. But he was telling so much truth, and powers that be didn't like it. They, natural cures they don't want you to know about. It's the they that changed my world of the information of why are they making us so sick? Why are they putting all this toxic stuff in our food? Why are they doing that to us? This book actually changed my life. Unbeknownst to me, my brother had actually got this book before we opened up our wellness center. And pretty much everything we had in our wellness center was in this book. And I didn't know it till after the fact. So it was kind of really synchronistic. So this book's been out for 20 years. He just is doing a 20-year anniversary book of this. So
Where is he touring to? It's close back.
well, I didn't want to go into too much detail about this, but because of all the things and all the truth he was talking, he ended up in jail for the last 10 years. He's been out about 2 years now. So now he's out with a vengeance and talking. So he does have a podcast on YouTube called The Kevin Trudeau Show. I used to listen to him all the time before he went to jail. And so the club that I'm talking about is called the Global Information Network, is where I met the Mortars, Tom and Ted Mortar. Some people may have heard of Sue Mortar, but they're all into health and wellness too. But anyway, that's where a lot of my knowledge came since 2012. So then in 2016, like I said, I hired my CHEK practitioner. CHEK stands for Corrective Holistic Exercise Kinesiology. And her mentor is Paul CHEK, that wrote this book. How to Eat, number 1, Move, and Be Healthy. When I hired my coach, and she had me do just a whole lifestyle change, but I hands down, the diet made all the difference. My diet 100% made all the difference in my pain, inflammation, and how I felt from day to day.
80% of my life.
Well, still to this day.
So
Still to this day, depends on how I feel. So Paul CHEK, he's a great resource. So I had worked.
Have a list of all this.
I brought these if you want them. Take them.
Okay, but you don't have like
I will have a handout in just a minute,
With
but
all
it
this
doesn't
stuff.
have this. It doesn't have all this. So
Then
I'm hoping you're taking notes.
You can take.
But you can take a screenshot of this, or
okay.
I can hand it to you and you can write it all down. The point I was trying to get at is I worked with Nicole I hired her for 3 months. But because after about 2 months, I was noticing a difference, I was able to extend my time with her because I didn't have to see her as often. Because I was a good student and I did my homework. Okay. So in 6 months of working with her, I was completely out of pain. I was able to maintain that for a couple of years. I won't go into all the details. 2019 came around. I went on a little hiatus. My pain came back like a vengeance. And the CHEK Institute was actually taking new students. So then I went on to actually become a CHEK practitioner as well. Because I had done it. I knew I had done it. I wanted to learn the science and the reasons behind it. So I got certified in 2020 and then COVID hit. Hey, how you doing? Which was fun, right? So I'll just pass these around. So basically, my my point to that is I have a lot of resources. I attend so many seminars. I listen to audiobooks and podcasts constantly. I'm just an information junkie. So, right, I just like to use kind of my discernment because there's a lot of fluff out there too.
A lot of
Right.
contradiction.
There is a lot of contradiction. So you kind of have to use your own, hear both sides, hear all angles, and what's actually there's somewhere in there's the truth, right? So what I've learned is there are 6 basic principles to health. And those are your thinking, your breathing, your eating, which we're mostly going to focus on tonight, your drinking, your movement, and your rest. So you are what you think, eat, and drink, and you are how you breathe, move, and rest. Okay. So, so it starts with your thinking. So, Lynn, look at me. It's kind of easy. You're thinking, you're breathing, you're eating, you're drinking, you're moving, and you're resting. But it first starts off with your resting. And then what do you think about when first thing in the morning? And then what's your breath doing throughout the day? And then what are you consuming? Not only through your mouth, but your ears and your eyes. And then how are you moving throughout the day? Not only physically, but bowel movements, energy movements. That's why I wanted to have Gwen give you kind of a little tour in here, because they're, energy, vibration, frequency. We did sound baths together, right? We know how that helps move the energy through and help with healing. Okay. So so those are the foundationals, and they make all the difference. I could go 3 hours into each one of these topics, but I'm not going to do that. Did you get it? Okay, we all have 3 choices. Optimal, we kind of talked about that early on, which is going to be the best option. You got your good, better, and best. You have a suboptimal, which is going to be some of the poorer decisions, if that's a good way to do it. But in those moments when we're making those suboptimal choices, a lot of teaching, lessons, and learning experiences can happen. Okay. Or we can be indifferent, which basically is do nothing. You don't care. You kind of have an apathetic, feeling about different things. But sometimes when you do nothing, that's a good time to find out more information, take a time out, and kind of use your own discernment of what needs to happen. So, but your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being is all designed on your own free will. We all have choices every single day of all 6 of those foundationals, what we do with that throughout the day. Okay. So, so when consuming foods, we have so many options to choose from. But do we really? You go to the grocery store, every brand under the sun is in the grocery store, right? So we think we have options, but well, what are the food groups?
Chocolate.
Oh, I'm serious. What are the food groups?
You've got whole grains, fruits, vegetables, proteins, dairy.
Okay. What if I told you there's only 3 food groups? Fats, proteins, and carbs. Combination of those makes up, all those things we did. So, but like I said, we have so many options to choose from. So many options to choose from, but who owns all those options? I actually took this right off of the, I went online and Googled who owns our food sources, right? What if I were to tell you that basically there's only 1 or 2 companies that own all of these? And guess who it is? The tobacco companies. So the tobacco companies learned how to make tobacco addictive so you'd want to smoke more. And so they went and bought up all the food companies and figured out how to toxify your food so you want to eat more and make it more addictive.
They're in bed with the doctors.
They are in bed with Big Pharma. So does Big Pharma own America? You bet it does. Why are we so unhealthy? We claim to be the healthy, we spend so much money on healthcare per year, but why are we the sickest nation in the world? Over 70% of the country is overweight or obese. That was unheard of 50 years ago. More than half of Americans are on more than 2 medications.
Anybody know how to turn off the clicking sound?
If you silence your phone, turn your sound off.
Just
Is
that's
your
it.
volume down?
Yeah,
Oh, that.
yeah.
That's
So-
that now silence.
So I have a really quick story
Yeah.
about this.
Mhm.
I have a friend whose her father-in-law was on about 20 medications, and he's probably 80-ish or so, 80, 90. And he just felt crappy. He just felt awful. And finally, one day he just says, I want to die. I just want to die. So he quit taking everything.
And got better.
Yeah, he did.
Mhm.
I've been telling my brother that, and his wife, but she won't listen. Like, that's
Well,
your life then. That's
You
your
think about it,
decision.
I mean, if you're on any kind of medication, you can go through the, white labels on the medication and it'll give you possible side effects, right? You're on 2 medications, those side effects are going to double. You get on 3 medications or more, you have no idea what the side effects are going to be. So in that case of your friend, they probably had him on one medication that caused side effects, and then they gave him medication for the side effects, and then the side effects, and then the side effects, and side effects, side effects, side effects. So it wasn't getting to the root cause of the problem.
It never does.
It never does,
Never
because
does.
we are literally not born with medication or vaccine deficiencies. We're vitamin and mineral deficient. Okay. So ultimately, we need to stop looking for the healing from the drugs, and using our own judgment on how to heal yourself. That should be your first line of therapy. Right. So again, why are there so many diseases ending in OSIS and ITIS? Osis and itis. Anything that ends in ITIS is inflammation. It's going to be more of a heat signature. It's a dried out kind of thing, and it's going to be in a particular area. So appendicitis, right? It's going to be your appendix is flaring up. You might have arthritis, but in different areas, but like, your joints or whatever. Bronchitis is in the lungs, colitis, hepatitis, diverticulitis. The list goes on and on and on about all the itises and osis. Arthrosis, cirrhosis, fibrosis, neurosis. If you go into the doctor, they're going to give you some of diagnosis. Right? Right. So that's kind of what it boils down to is those any kind of disease or implement or situation is going to normally end in osis or itis. So your diet is going to make all the difference. So what to eat and what not to eat for optimal health. Rashi, thank you for demonstrating what our food pyramid is. I took this right off the FDA website. Okay. They want us to eat a ton of grains and pasta and cereals. Look, they even got to have it labeled as cornflakes. Lots of fruits and vegetables. But what are those 2? Carbs. They're all carbs. Carbs at the end of the day
That was
break down into sugar, which causes inflammation.
So that was the Pritikin diet in the 70s. Eat a lot of carbs.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I was going to go through this a little bit later, but this is kind of a good segue. Depending on where your ancestors came from, let's just say 3 generations ago, if your ancestors came more from like the equatorial regions, more around the center of the earth, they were more hunter-gatherer. And so carbs, it was always just quick food. They could just take it and go and take it on the go and take it on the go. And that was great. For those of us blonde-haired, blue-eyed people that were born around the polar regions, there was no fresh fruits and vegetables. What did they eat?
They were carnivores.
They were carnivores. They ate a ton of fat and protein. Okay. So for us blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, if we're eating a ton of carbs, what's that doing to our system, really?
When I eat carbs, I get sluggish.
Okay, I'm going to get to that. Hopefully I'll have time to get to that. Actually, I put a bunch of slides in here that I'm just going to skip through. So the long haul, so I'm going to call it the long haul standard American diet, is a real threat to America. This is the standard American diet. Most people were taught this is how we have to eat, no matter who you are and where you came from. Whoever put the S in fast food is a marketing genius. Should be called fat food, right? So what if I were to tell you, what if we turned that pyramid upside down and started out eating lots of meat, poultry, eggs, fats,
I like you
fruits, vegetables, and then all the grains and artificial sweeteners and stuff?
Yeah, that's kind of what they ate in the 50s, was a lot of that.
Before everything came out processed.
Bacon and everything.
Bacon and eggs.
The whole thing was for the farmers, that industry, they wanted you to eat bacon to buy their pigs.
Sure.
That was the whole thing.
And my parents still do, and I thank them for it. We still keep all the bacon grease, and we cook with the bacon grease instead of Crisco or vegetable oils. Well,
yeah, I know.
so this
wonderful.
this came from this book right here. This phase 1 food fight. So most of when we're eating too many carbs and too much starchy and that kind of food, we end up getting fungus in our body.
Okay.
And fungus actually is primarily, I would say, the root cause of a lot of different diseases. So this is book 1 of 3.
It makes your body acidic, right?
Mm-hmm. This is book 1 of 3. If you guys want to pass these around and look through them.
I'm gonna take pictures after.
Yeah, for sure. So not only what we eat, but when we eat. How many of us run out the door with a cup of coffee and a bagel in the morning and then eat most of our food at night? The biggest meal at night, right? And then a dessert maybe later. When essentially, if you ate most of your calories in the morning, you're fueling your body. You can snack throughout the day, and normally you're not as hungry at night. So, like I said, there's so many people that run out the door with a coffee and a bagel in the morning or stop at Starbucks and feel like, but that's just a big quick sugar rush first thing in the morning. When you eat first thing in the morning, most of your calories, you almost feel satiated throughout the rest of the day, and you almost don't need to eat. It's called breakfast for a reason. Everybody's got onto this fad of intermittent fasting. You know what intermittent fasting is? Between dinner and morning breakfast. That's your intermittent fasting window. Why should you fast throughout the rest of the day? That's when your body needs all of the energy, right? And your calories. So the breaking the fast, that's what it's called, is intermittent fasting. You're breaking the fast. And if you consume the most amount of your calories first thing in the morning, you'll have a figure like this.
So I'm generally trying to eat my last meal between 3 and 4.
I try and eat before dark, but obviously now that we come into the winter, it's hard because we do have a circadian rhythm that kind of goes through.
So if you're trying to eat before dark, that's like 4:50.
Try.
Next in a couple of weeks.
But if you're snacking throughout the day, if you're eating and stuff throughout the day, that shouldn't be a big problem.
I mean, you can still eat after that as long as I don't eat a lot of carbs or calories after 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
good.
So what's that?
Most people do.
On the bottom? Got
Meat, protein. It looks like little shish kebabs. Right.
So
So if you were, so a lot of people go for a midnight snack. They want ice cream, or popcorn, or
carbs.
Carbs. If you're gonna have a midnight snack, have some turkey and avocado. Eat some fat and protein. So
is popcorn okay? Not too late.
We'll get to that.
No.
We'll get to that.
Corn is.
We'll get to that.
Sugar.
It is. So I actually might skip some of this next one. So basically, it might take a little bit for me to explain this diagram, but basically we have all of these things coming into our body all these stressors, whether it be physical or chemical, electromagnetic, psychic, nutritional, thermal. And then your different systems, your body have to like counteract those stressors, right? Well, they all go into the same funnel, which if you call this box here your body, right? The stressors get the stress goes up and up and up and up and up and up. And when you get too stressed out, or your body's so overloaded and stressed out, is basically that's when death occurs, right? So we need to figure out ways to lower some of the stressors so that we can keep this bucket less full. Okay. That was one I maybe wasn't going to. So we're creating our own nightmare by consuming inflammatory foods. These, you can take a quick screenshot on this. We're going to go over this in a little bit more detail, but look on there, Lynn, corn's on your list. But basically it's sugars, artificial sweeteners are worse than regular sugar just because it's artificial. The body doesn't know what to do with it. Anything fried, especially all your hydrogenated oils. Talked about bacon grease. I'd rather eat bacon grease than canola oil or vegetable oil or Crisco or olive oil is great. If it comes from an actual something that you know, coconut oil, olive oil, those are all great.
Almond oil.
MSG, so talking about like the tobacco companies buying up all the food products, MSG is actually something that they put in your food to make it taste better and make it more addictive. It's a filler chemical. There's nothing beneficial about MSG. Processed foods. I know in our fast-paced, quick world, everybody wants to eat something out of a bag, a can, a box, frozen. That's typically our world is something made for us, right? Sodas is on there. Don't even get me started on soda. I can go be here for an hour about that. But excess caffeine and alcohol, of course, a little bit of caffeine and a little bit of alcohol is okay, but in excess, it can be not so great for you, right?
Well, when you're trying to heal cancer, like it's on the list.
That's actually,
So
it was on my no-no list. Like everything on this list was on my no-no list when I was healing from my back.
I just want to tell you something. My son learned. We lived in Logan when he was going to middle school. He learned this in middle school. He came home one day and said, "Mom, did you know that for every ounce of soda you drink, you have to drink 2 ounces of water to hydrate?"
It's actually 10 ounces. Yeah. It's like 10 to 1.
They said 2, but it's like that makes sense because the soda really dehydrates.
Okay, you have a Kangen alkali machine. Yeah. Perfect example. And like I said, I talk about this kind of stuff in my pH class, and that's exactly what I show. If you ever so you bought the Kangen machine, did you ever see the demonstration that goes along with that to show the pHs and what the difference is in the pH?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Okay, here's a good test. So with your Kangen machine, it should have come with a little red antigen, a dropper. It may have been so long ago that you maybe didn't know what it was. Okay, this is a really good experiment you can do.
Oh yeah, to the water stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just do it. You can do it with 9.5, and that's a really eye opener. But you can just do it with 7 or 8.5 water. Okay, fill a big glass up with your 8.5 water, and then get some Sprite. Okay.
I watched a video and they show a video with doing it with Sprite and like 3 or 4 different things.
I've done this demonstration twice in the last month.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then take 2 little glasses. Okay, put a little bit of Sprite in one glass and a little bit of your Kangen water in the other glass. Put the drops in it, right? And then the Sprite will be super bright red, and the Kangen water will be super purple, right? If you take, and then it's kind of fun. Take the big glass container or whatever you have and put a couple drops of the water in there. It'll be purple. Take your Sprite and just put like 2 drops in it and it'll instantly turn it red. Okay. Take that Kangen water, have your Sprite, put the Sprite in a big glass again, right? But just put a little bit in there. Doesn't matter how much that 9.5 water you put in that Sprite, it'll never turn purple. Ever.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that.
So talking about 2 to 1, it's more like, I can't even remember what the ratio was, but it's exponentially because between each pHs, it's 10 times. 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times. So soda is so horrible for you. Oh my gosh, soda is so horrible for you. It's okay to have once in a while
Because of the acid.
because it's so acidic. Have you seen some of totally?
And it's also dehydrated.
It absolutely 100% is. So, have you seen some of those videos that are like, all the industrial uses for Coke? Throw it on your battery and it gets rid of battery acid. Throw it on your hitch and it gets rid of the chrome off.
Marinating Coke in something, your meat. And
Right, it starts to break it down. It just basically, you leave your meat in it long enough, it'll totally disintegrate. So what do you think it's doing to your stomach? Anyway, like I said, we can go off on that, but I did. Anyway. Well, and just sodas and energy drinks and all of these things that people are drinking, thinking they're hydrating themselves when they're basically dehydrating
themselves energy, and it's like, no, you're giving yourself a heart attack.
Totally. Oh my, totally.
So a high and a crash is a real
Right.
low.
So, last on this list, breads, grains, yeast, soy, corn. I'm going to get to a little bit more of that in a minute. But these are anti-inflammatory foods, kind of like what we already talked about. In kind of this order: quality proteins, organic, grass-fed, finished, free-range, wild-caught, healthy oils, olive oil, see, coconut oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, low glycemic fruits, the berries, the oranges, the ones that have a lot of color to them, non-starchy vegetables. So basically stuff that grows above ground.
I was gonna say no roots, because that's starch.
They're starchies. I can tell you some ways to kind of get around that too. But because we are so nutritionally deficient, who not here thinks that supplementation is important? You have to. You have to. We're so vitamin and nutritionally deficient, we have to supplement.
But then I have a question for you. As I'm getting older, I don't eat as much either. So that to me is another good reason why I need to take supplements.
Right.
It's because I'm not getting as much as I used to.
Well,
Even
and
though I'm
as
eating better and healthier,
Mhm.
I'm still not getting
And as we age too, we don't need as much.
right. Right. So I've noticed
Right.
that your servings are supposed to be a half a cup, and I'm thinking, honey, are you kidding me? That would be my whole meal.
The older I get, the less I want to eat, the less I feel like I need to
Yeah,
eat.
that's so true.
Okay,
But
so
anyway.
this is a handout I'm going to give you guys. This is going to kind of recap what we just
Thank
talked
you.
about, but I
Thank
am also going to, we're going to go through this.
Okay.
So
Sounds
this
good.
came from my CHEK coaching, and this is a good cheat sheet to hang on your fridge. So we kind of talked about what not to eat that causes inflammation, but what I like to call them is the 4 white devils. And that's going to be your grains, pasteurized homogenized dairy, white sugar, and white iodized table salt. Oops. Here we go.
So question.
So
Where is that?
It's
number 1,
so do we really need iodized salt?
why do you think iodized salt was created? Does anybody here know?
The gout?
Aaron, do you know?
I knew it, and it's like it's something with the foot, wasn't it? Yes.
Okay, so do you know where most of the iodized salt comes from? Right here in our backyard, Morton Salt. Morton Salt. Okay. So, trying to decide how much I want to go into this.
Just go for it.
Okay, so would you consider the Great Salt Lake a Dead Sea? So a lot of times you hear of like sea salts, Dead Sea salts, Himalayan salt. That's because they're dead seas. They're salt that actually have all of the minerals in them as well. Well, they use salt in industrial machinery to clean the machines. Okay, salt's a solution that they use to clean machinery. The corporations realized that it was clogging up their machines, so they decided to demineralize it. They demineralized the salt. So it's just sodium, what is it called? Sodium chloride? Okay. Well, people started eating just sodium chloride, and they started realizing that they had thyroid issues. So they decided to add just a little bit of iodine back in. Help with you. It didn't completely destroy your thyroid.
That's right.
So we don't need iodine.
No, there's actually iodine in mineral salts.
And that's what I take.
Real salt,
I do.
Himalayan salt, sea salt. It has all of those minerals. There's like 100 different minerals that are in all of those different salts. You don't need iodized salt. It is actually one of the leading causes of heart disease.
Yeah, she says, no, Himalayan sea salt you don't want. You want real salt.
Real salt's good.
Or Dead Sea salt.
Himalayan salt's good. It just depends on what their source is, because
It's
there's,
There's no. But anyway,
So,
yeah, that's,
yeah.
She's never praying. She thinks she knows everything. She's like, oh, I gotta have iodized salt.
No.
Why? But you know, I think
My dad loves iodized salt, and I don't know why. It's saltier. It tastes saltier, but it's
not
causing
good
a lot
for
of
you.
heart problems. And then you get to go get your doctor, and he's going to put you on some heart medication.
So is it the salt? Salt causes the heart?
We need salt.
I know we need.
Why
salt.
did we actually
We
put
need
out on the?
electrolytes.
Yes, we need all those minerals that come in salt.
we
Salt
don't
is an
need-
electrolyte.
We don't need iodine, not the process.
You don't need that processed salt.
It's processed in chemicals. It's not good. You want to get the natural stuff.
So basically, what they did to demineralize the salt was they bleached it. They bleached it. Took all of that out. Hmm?
Like white
So if
flour.
you-
Like white flour.
You've got, what do you call it, real salt?
Real salt.
Real salt
Mhm.
with the minerals in it,
Mhm.
okay?
Eat as much as it as you want.
Do you need electrolytes in addition to that?
We can talk about that. That's a discussion. Yes.
You do need electrolytes in addition.
So.
Living in Utah, I think this is helpful because it's so dry here.
Mhm.
So.
Yes. Right. Right. So I actually have what's called Soleil water, which you take chunks of Himalayan salt and put it in distilled water, and it makes it as salinated as it can be. And I take a teaspoon of that and put it in my water. So that's a good way to get your minerals in your water. Because like we were talking about with our water, they put all those chlorines and fluorides and all these chemicals in our water to make it safe to drink. But is it really safe to drink?
Well, the only reason they put it in is to kill bacteria.
Right.
And it only works in the treatment plant. It doesn't
Right.
work
Right.
in the pipes.
Right. So.
And they had a big thing about that in Expanding when I lived here years and years ago. They were putting fluoride in the water, and a lot of people protested. So they made the wells. There was a well right across the street.
I didn't think we were going to go down this rabbit hole of this discussion, but it may have been the FDA or the CDC or the EPA or something. They just barely came out with a study that says that there's 2 times the amount of fluoride in our water than what is safe.
Did the Nazis dumb people down with fluoride?
Fluoride dumbs you down, calcifies your pineal gland, which makes you more docile and susceptible to buying whatever there is on the shelf that's available.
It calcifies what?
Your pineal gland, your third eye.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I love the people that are here, and we're having such a great discussion because this is fun. So, for white devils, anything white, just think about anything that is white is going to be devoid of nutritional value and shouldn't be consumed because it's causing inflammation. So your white flours, which includes all grains, including rice and corn.
There's brown rice though, right?
Still
what
very
about-
carbish, still
what
very
about-
starchy.
Okay, what about the brown sugar? Because all it is what's it?
Okay. So I do have white sugar on this list. And white sugar in general, sugar that has been processed is more addictive than cocaine. The more they process things, the better. So cocaine actually comes from a coca leaf, and you can toss a coca leaf in your mouth and it gives you just a little bit of energy, and it's actually quite nutritious. The more it's processed, the more refined it is, the more that they manipulate it, the more addictive it becomes, the more the more refined it is, the more of a stimulant it is. That's probably the best word. A stimulant it is. And gives you the quick up. And that's what sugar does. It's the quick fix. It's the quick energy. It's quick boost. So you have to ask brown sugar. I think brown sugar still has some of the molasses still in it, which is going to be better. But if you were going to, if you are still wanting to consume sugars, the 3 top best sugars are going to be your organic cane sugar, honey, and maple syrup. Those are going to be the least processed and the more nutritional. It's a plant, but it's processed.
Okay.
You know, you can't be a Nazi about all this, right? It's just bringing awareness. We're bringing you from unconscious incompetence to maybe unconscious competence, or the 3rd level, conscious competence. So but you have to think about it. Okay. So as we go through this sheet, this a little bit more of this will make sense. So basically, choosing organic, unprocessed, or minimally processed alternatives. In general, white foods are displacing real foods. So talking about sugar and salt, those are going to be anything packaged. Usually on most packaged foods, the first 3, 4, 5 ingredients are going to have at least 2 or 3 different sweeteners. Corn syrup being some of them.
Yes.
Brown rice, flour.
High fructose corn syrup.
Love that one. Love that one. But anything ending in OSE is going to be a sugar. Fructose, sucrose, lactose comes in milk, right? Any of those are going to be sugars. We didn't really talk too much about milk, but raw milk is going to be your best option. Anything that can come from a grass-fed, grass-finished, because you have to also think, and I think it gets down here in the sheet a little bit more, but you also have to think about what you eat, if the meats you're eating, what you eats. So what are they feeding the cows? What are they feeding the chickens? If they're feeding the chickens grains and sugary foods they're not naturally supposed to be eating, that then goes into, okay, so we'll go into omega-3, 6, and 9s. We heard that we need a balance of the 3, 6, and 9s. Meats that are actually fed a lot of grains are really high on omega-6, and those are that's the inflammatory omegas. You want more 3s and more 9s of the omegas. Okay, so number 2 on this list, if you can't pronounce a word on the label, don't eat it. How many people here are label readers? I'm a big label reader.
I pronounce everything. I can pronounce it.
And if you can't figure out what it is, Google's a great source of what does this mean? What does this mean? Because sometimes they'll use different words for different things, but they're getting really tricky on labeling, coming up with new names for things. So you have to kind of stay on top of that. I usually don't like, if I pick something up and it's got a whole list of ingredients, I don't even read it. I put it right back.
That's exactly what I.
Usually if it has more than 10 ingredients, I won't even look at it.
It's like, no,
yeah.
No, not mine.
Right. So, like I said, there's a food additives dictionary to determine what listed additives are safe. Oh, it just lost me. What's that website you can go to?
Food Babe talks about it too.
Food Babe talks about it. Oh my gosh, there's a website. I should have wrote it down. I know, but I've got it on my computer, but I don't want to get out of the screen I'm in.
What's the website? Food Babe?
Food Babe, there's a WMS. It's basically a website where you can go and type in any ingredient and it'll give you a list of all the side effects, all the not so great things about it, and if it's safe or not. Okay. So like I said, the dangerous ones are usually so they don't even have to actually list all the ingredients on a product, also because they can just slide it under the natural flavors.
Natural
Spices, natural flavors, seasonings, that kind of thing. So So there's a lot of trickiness in the labels as well.
Yeah, well, I noticed that there's nutrition facts, which lists your protein, salts, and carbohydrates and sugars.
Mm-hmm.
There's only certain things they list, and then it says other ingredients.
Other
And
ingredients.
that's where everything
If it's
is.
less than certain percentage, they can call it that, right? So I know we're kind of, oh yeah, we're probably running a little past here, but I wanted to at least get through this sheet and then give you guys another handout. So if it really wasn't kind of talking about where your ancestors came from, if the ingredient wasn't here 10,000 years ago, probably shouldn't eat it. It's probably a modern pseudo food with fruit juice that'll displace the real foods that your body's needs. Number 3 or 4, avoid all pasteurized fruit juices. They are dead sugar water. Be careful of fruit juices in general because of the high sugar content. We're meant to eat the whole fruit. It has the fiber in it, and that'll help with the spike of the sugar, the blood sugar. Okay, number 5. There's a lot of preservatives in our food, and we're not dead yet. We don't need to be preserved. So if we're eating food with a lot of preservatives in it, it's doing more harm than good. So the longer it can last on the shelf, the more dangerous it is likely to be. If it's irradiated, pasteurized, packaged in plastics, that food will absorb a lot of those chemicals. Obviously, with stuff like this for convenience, oh, thank you. You can't get away from it, right? But just being more conscious of it. I stopped drinking out of water bottles. Kind of do my stainless steel now too. But anytime you can drink out of glass is going to be better. So one of the number 6, this is going to be kind of one of the most important things I think that we talk about tonight, is choosing in this order the way to choose produce and meats. If you can't, so this is our good, better, best list. Okay. Best list is going to be certified organic produce and meat. Free-range meats, organic, free-range.
Just go to Rawtopia.
Just go to
and treat
Rawtopia.
yourself. Treat
Redmond Farms,
yourself.
which is real salt, also has a lot of good options as well. I buy whole cows.
John's got them roaming around in the pasture out.
If I had a way to have my own chickens, I'd have them. I want a beehive and chickens and a little billy goat running around my backyard.
Hey,
One of
I'll
these
do
days.
the same thing.
Oh, I
We got
forgot.
a cow if you want a cow.
I'm pretty set up on the meat situation. Yeah.
Okay.
So Utah Natural Meats is where I usually get my meats too.
My chickens, I feed them with love.
Or
and
Redmond
water
Farms.
them with love, and they eat bugs with
Love that.
love.
So if you can get certified organic, great. Best. Next best is organic. Next best, well, I would say probably the best is locally farmed, because you want to try and support our local industries, because that means it traveled less, didn't have to go to the distance, probably wasn't sprayed with all the things to make it last longer, that kind of thing. And then if you have to, you got to eat produce. If it's commercially farmed and it's not organic, good thing you can still have something to eat, right? Good, better, best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you said only eat raw milk, unpasteurized milk.
If you're going to eat dairy,
Where do you get that?
Yeah.
so Utah Natural Meat and Redmond Farms both sell raw.
Redmond's Farms.
Where's that? Where's Redmond's?
There's one in Sugar House. I think they have actually they are advertising now that they have different delivery options, and I'm not sure
There's
if
like a
they have it Ogden area.
I've stopped drinking cow's milk.
Yeah.
I haven't done it for like 4 years maybe or so. I mean, I haven't ever noticed a difference in my body, but I just decided this is not good. I just didn't feel like it was a good thing. Pasteurized.
So pasteurized basically heats it up to where it's no longer have any of the beneficial things to it. And as gross as it may sound, we're the only mammal that drinks another mammal's milk. We're the only mammal that still drinks milk after 2 years old.
What about I've seen things about the almond milk and the oat milk and things like that. They're not. There's a lot of fluffer.
There's a lot of fluff around that too.
You make it so easy and so good, and I can teach you how.
Right. I mean, it's a good alternative. We make a lot of that at Rautopia too.
Yes, I
Mhm.
would love to do.
It's simple. It's actually really simple. You just have to
It's
sprout
so-
your nuts.
So good.
You just have to buy raw nuts, soak them.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay. So as like I said, as far as meats goes, certified organic free range, again, it depends on what your meat eats. Also, if it's being fed all the grains and corns and soys, and oh my gosh, I saw some article one time that they were dumping old Skittles that they couldn't sell in the bags into the cow feeds. And in our factory farming, who knows what they're getting? Who knows what they're feeding them? So organic meats are going to be your best. If you know a local farmer, that's going to be best. If you can get hormone-free meats, great, but you have to eat meat. And I'll if I'm out at a restaurant, I'll eat it. I'll eat just regular meat if I have to.
So it's really.
We'll get there because I got another handout for you. Okay.
It's just.
I could be a carnivore if I didn't love fruits and vegetables so much.
Yeah.
I feel so much better.
I'm really leaning towards stuff.
Blonde hair, blue eyes. We lived off of protein and fat.
Yeah,
Do you know where they got their carbs from? They'd split open the caribou or whatever they got and open up the contents of its stomach, and that was fermented fruits and vegetables. And that's what they would eat. Fermented fruits and vegetables. So your sauerkraut, your kimchi, your pickles, your anything canned in vinegar, beets, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Kind of stuff.
Make that too.
Sounds gross, but it's reality.
Oh, it is.
But that's how they got some of those proteins or those nutrients that they were missing from just having meat and fat. Protein and fat.
I'm gonna send you those people I follow on YouTube.
Okay.
It is so fast.
I like I said, I would love to try it, but I
can't.
I crave this kind of stuff so much. I can't do it,
straight carb. I'm really close.
I feel way better when I eat more meat though, for sure. And Rashi, you've got brown hair, brownish eyes, so maybe you're not more inclined. What's your heritage? Do you know?
I come
Like your
from
grandparents' parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
England and Wales.
That's where I come.
Okay. Hard to say. Hard to say.
And-
So I'll give you a
and
handout. You can
Eastern
figure that
Europe
out.
And Eastern. Half
Okay.
Eastern.
I've got a handout here in a minute that you'll be able to figure this out. We kind of already talked about water, but half your body weight in ounces of water is going to be ideal. I try and drink even upwards of a gallon. The more active you are, the more water you need. Okay. And we kind of already talked about this: coffee, soda, tea, fruit juices is not water.
Coffee's good for animals.
Water's water. Coffee's good to go in the other end. Yes.
Really good that way. I drink Paro in the winter. That's your barley, your chicory, your malted
I mean,
barley.
having tea is great, but if what you're drinking has any color to it, your body's going to recognize it as food and not
Right.
water, not hydration.
So green tea is.
No, it's green.
It's green. So nothing is a substitute water. If you can't see through it, it's food. Stored in a glass if possible. Choose top brands.
Set it in sun.
And
Okay, I gotta
Anyway.
get rid of my plastic bottles. That's it.
the longer it sits in the water, the more plastics it's going to leach out of the bottle. And there was another study
That's
done
mind
that showed they're starting to do like autopsies in people, and we have most people have a credit card's worth of plastic hanging out in their body somewhere. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yummy. Or we consume a credit card's worth of plastic every year, or something like that. It was some crazy statistic. So the less you can use plastic, the better.
It's in our water.
It's everywhere. Healthy waters are better. We kind of just talked about that a little bit, but here's adding a pinch of unprocessed sea salt to a bottle of naked water can provide the needed minerals and electrolytes. Celtic, New Zealand sea salts have been found to have the lowest mercury levels. So that's another thing you kind of have to be curious. And maybe that's some of what the Himalayan salt is about is it might have some heavy metals in it that aren't so great.
That's what I was trying to say, not Himalayan salt, it's Celtic salt.
The
Yeah.
Celtic salt.
Okay.
It just kind of know your source, right? You can't, again, you can't be so fanatical about it because it's so impossible to get away from, right? Just do your best. So, and here's my point. Number 8, follow the 80-20 rule. If you can be good, get your best options, your better options in 80% of the time, 20% of the time, good is good enough. Okay. So when I was working with my coach, it was more like 95.5%. Or even just, she actually told me I want 100% for 100 days. 100% for 100 days, and then you can kind of, after that, kind of gauge where you're at. If I even really go to 80 or 80, 20,
You're Nazi.
I was for 6 months. I certainly was. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, I used to like to have a glass of wine or a beer with food or all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're taking away my, and fruit and dairy was half my diet. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to eat? She's like, eat a steak and then have a glass of wine, but then have another steak. Okay. Oh. She's like, if you want to have those sugary or whatever things, sandwich it between 2 steaks. You're good.
I'd love to hear you say that.
Like, yes.
So I got so many vegan friends.
No, I know. And when I first hired her, if she would have told me I was a vegetarian, I would have walked out. I had to go vegetarian. I would have walked out the door.
Oh, I was the same way.
If she would have told me at all that I had to give up
Cyanide.
that, I would have just said, okay, next. So always, number 9, always eat right for your unique individual metabolic needs. We kind of talked about where your ancestors come from. And following preconceived diet guidelines diminishes participation in a relationship with your body. So it's really knowing how you feel after you eat. One of the first things that my coach had me do before we even really started working together was to keep a journal of what time I woke up in the morning, how much water I drank throughout the day, all the foods I was consuming throughout the day, how I felt an hour afterwards, and what my poop looked like throughout the day. For 10 days before we even started working with her. Because that gave me more of, and what time I went to bed, that gave me more of an accountability of, oh, I ate this and I felt this way after. And oh, I ate this and my poo was like, ooh, right?
Right.
Poo's such a taboo topic, but it's so important.
It's very important.
It's
That's why I don't.
I think my next class is going to be about poop, for real.
I don't just want you to take those poop
Do you have
tests.
a curriculum?
Kind of. Like what am I going to do next? I was going to do a 12-week series here, and I did an introduction of this is what the 12-week looks like, and nobody signed up. So I decided not to, but like I mentioned, I think I might actually do it and record myself, put it online, and put it on YouTube. But I like the conversation. I like where we can have a discussion about it and bounce ideas off of people. I think we learn more that way than me just up here lecturing. Or like telling somebody, oh, I've got this hour-long video about blah, blah, blah. Watch it.
You could record a classroom.
This is being recorded right now. I've got Zoom going and it's being recorded right now. So I can take snippets out of it if I needed to. I just got to learn how to be not so tech-tarded and figure out how to do that.
And not have your audience interrupt you.
No, I love it. I love the discourse for real. I think it's like how we all learn, and we can have a conversation of, I'm not the only one that thinks this way. Like you said, I love that you say that about meat. I worked for a functional medical doctor for so long, and there were so many. The owner of the restaurant that I work for was a vegetarian for a long, long time, and he came to the doctor that I worked for, and he said, "You need to start eating meat. You're not healthy eating this way." And he started eating meat, and he opened up a new restaurant. And now we serve meat in the restaurant, bison and fish, and that's it. And that's why I love working there, is because I can have every single thing on the menu and I do not feel horrible ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's half the reason I work there, is because I get free meals and it's half my food budget.
Bison and fish.
Yeah.
I need you guys to call me and tell me when I can come help at the restaurant.
Well, you used to work there. So basically, bottom line is you need to respect food as a vital life force because that's what gives us vitality, energy. It's not something to bargain for. And in the description of this class, I had mentioned, food is freedom, right? We've got these elections, these crazy elections coming up in 2 weeks. And literally, we vote with every dollar that we spend. We don't have to keep supporting these corporations and big pharma and all of these government agencies that are destroying our health. We vote every time we buy anything. So if you're buying more organic, local, that's how we're voting is with how we spend our money and what we're putting in our bodies.
Trader Joe's.
I hardly ever go to any grocery store.
It's so processed, but
That's still.
They might have some good options. I
Yeah.
don't really shop. I don't really ever shop in a grocery store.
Go. I do grocery stores to buy my veggies and my fruits.
Good.
You know,
We grew a garden. I ate mostly everything in my garden. Like I said, I work at this restaurant. Half my food comes from there. Okay, so that's that. I am going to, this is kind of a nice slide if you want to take a picture of it. It's actually in the How to Eat, Move, and Eat and Move and Be Healthy book, but I'm going to actually come over here and explain this a little bit because I think every single one of you has mentioned, I feel this way when I have too many carbs. Okay, but I'm gonna come over here and explain what this means. Oh, it's really hard to actually. I almost thought about printing this out and giving it as a handout. But basically,
can you text it to us so we can?
let's send me your emails and I'll send you this in a PDF form. But basically, when you have, so you know what, I'm going to skip this part and come back to it. Kids, I want you guys to give you this other handout and find out what your primal pattern diet type is. You don't have to fill this out now, but I want you to just have it as a reference.
Is that any similarity to your blood type?
I know. But this is just more of like an intuitive, how am I already eating and how do I feel after? And this will be determined if you need to eat more carbs or more protein. This is one of several handouts that when I work with my clients, that I have them fill out. When I work with people, it's more, everybody's an individual and everybody has individual needs. And so you have to start somewhere. So just having the client fill out a bunch of paperwork, and doing a bunch of assessments, then you can kind of determine what's your starting point and where can we help with some improvement. Okay. So I know the first page is talking about sleep, but like I said, in the 6 foundationals, thinking, breathing, eating, drinking, moving, and rest, it actually starts with your rest. And what do you think about when you wake up in the morning?
Is this copyrighted primal pattern that's registered?
Yes, so this is from the CHEK Institute. This is through the coaching the coach that I hired and the coaching that I went through.
So are you like a
So I'm a CHEK
certified
I'm a-
CHEK coach?
I am. And
That's
so with that,
you use with your clients.
for the most part, yes. So, I mean, it goes into sleep and how you feel after exercise and how you feel after eating and which best describes you after you eat sweets and, that kind of stuff. So which statement best describes, da, 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 da. So on the back, you can, so you've got A and B answers. And on the back, you total up how many A answers and how many B answers. If you have more A answers than B answers, you're a protein type. And if you have more B answers than A answers, you're a carb type. If you have both the same within 2 of each other, you're a mixed type, which I didn't put that slide in here, but because I didn't know how much time I was going to have and I didn't want to go down too many rabbit holes. But basically
We've been down some.
we did, and we always do. I just didn't want to divert myself into them unknowingly. So basically, if you eat too many carbs, and I'm going to try and read this. The long-term responses are, hold on. I'm in denial that I need glasses. Okay. Too many carbs. I'm going to read the short-term responses. You get a headache. You have anxiety. You don't feel satiated. You get hungry quickly. You may crave fat and or protein. You get jumpy, have a jumpy mind like ADHD behavior, tired but wired but jittery. You have nervous energy highs and lows. How much of that describes all of your vegan friends? Seriously.
You know what I noticed about vegan friends? They have to be right. It's a religion.
Mhm.
They're
So
stuck.
even though you can't really read this, there's an arrow that points. So I read the top right corner, and there's an arrow that goes over to the left and down, the blue. Basically, if you feel the short-term responses, the solution is eat more protein. Basically, eat more fats and protein, right? Drink more water, get more exercise, that kind of stuff. So I apologize. This is not the best slide because it's not showing up very well, and I'm having a hard time reading it because it's so small.
Each one of those groups of texts need to be a separate slide.
Yes, and like I said, I kind of just threw this in.
The title, do a group slide like that.
Right.
With just the title.
I would have had to retype it all, and I didn't want to do that.
That's
I was being lazy, and it's all in the Eat and Move Healthy book, Eat and Move and Be Healthy book. So if you want to get it, it's available on Amazon. But I wanted to also go to if you eat too much fat and proteins, the short term is you're going to feel lethargic, sleepy, dull, depressed, mentally sluggish or slow. You feel like you have a heavy gut. You feel full but hungry. You may crave sweets, and you may crave coffee or tea. And the solution to that is eat more carbs, basically. So it's being more mindful and aware,
So that's
consciously competent of what you're going through when you
I can't
eat.
Straight carnivore.
Yeah, yes, I think so too. So what's your primal pattern diet type? That's a handout. I'd love to have you guys fill that out and let me know how that came back, because I'm also coaching. If you want to hire me as a coach and help you, hold your hand and walk you through the process of how we can put a diet specific program together for you, I would love that. With my coaching, it was all about diet and exercise. So the slide that I showed you, how it was kind of like this at first, and then it was like this. There were specific exercises she had me do to help straighten up my body and get my discs back where they needed to be. Mostly strength training, yes. And without assessing, I have tons of assessment tools and ways that you can figure this out, but I was so double jointed and my ligaments and tendons were so loosey goosey. And so I was just flopping all over the place. My coach called me Gumby's girlfriend. Everybody here is old enough to know what that means. Right? Yeah. She's like, I never want to see you do a yoga pose again. Don't stretch. Quit stretching. Because I'd be like, I'm trying to stretch. And then she's like, stop stretching. You don't need to stretch.
I do.
She's like, you need to strength training. That's cute. That's cute. But without testing, without knowing, without, doing all of the tests, we don't know where you're out of balance and where you need help. Because all of my stuff was on my left side, she'd have me do stuff only on the right side. Because this is loose and tight. This was long and weak. This was, what am I saying? Tight and needed stretching, and this was loose and needed strengthening. Right? So she'd have me do specific things on specific sides. Okay? To get the imbalances back and forth. Once you start going through that too, you might have some chakra stuff going on. Usually if you're out of balance in a specific area of your body, you need some chakra help in those areas. Right? So the energy part about it. We had briefly talked about supplementation. So I also believe in supplementation. I think everybody here has maybe tried one of my drinks, but I'm giving everybody a gift. So this is a green drink called Green 2O, and it's full of electrolytes and minerals, and it's a great supplement to add to your water. One stick will make anywhere between 32 ounces up to 48 ounces, depending on how strong you like it. And I've got it in mint and lemon.
Mint. Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it.
Also, have you tried this?
Done.
This is also a business opportunity. It's electrolytes, antioxidants, it's alkaline, lemon juice. It's alkaline, helps cleanse and detox. And I've been drinking this for 2008, for 16 years. I present for them all the time. So you asked me if I've done this presentation before.
Yes.
Pardon.